The origins of my family are something that I kind of feel have a big impact on my life today. My father and his family line grew up in northern Kentucky, and that's where most of his relatives and where most of his grandfathers and great grandfathers grew up and spent their lives. They came from a class of hardworking blue collar people. My grandfather was a mechanic. My great grandfather was a farmer. And there was a real strong heritage of the importance of work and the importance of getting the job done right, coming down from my father's line. On my mother's side, she comes from all the way across the sea. She was born in Moscow, Russia, as was I. And that's where the majority of, or all of her family line comes from. Her grandmother and her grandfather grew up during like the beginning of the Soviet rule, and that was a big impact for them because it kind of showed the dangers of a kind of an all-powerful regime and all-powerful tyrannical government in some ways, and that's still something that she carries with her today. She grew up as a child in the beginning of the end of the Soviet Union, and she can remember distinctly, the wall falling and Gorbachev and all of the relations between the U.S. and Russia back then. She is a first-generation immigrant to this country, as am I. She and I were the first of our family to be here, and I still hold her family heritage from Russia as a very strong thing in my present-day life. We still eat many Russian foods, and we still talk. My mom speaks Russian in the house, so it's still an important part of our life in the everyday, present-day activities of things. One of the biggest things that I found interest in doing this cultural heritage project was just learning about my family and their past. It was just really cool to kind of feel a little bit of a connection with them and kind of just to like learn based off of my own curiosity on what they did and how they did it. With that being said, however, I would have to say that the importance and the connection that I feel with them isn't as great as the connection and the importance that I feel to those people who are directly in my life today. And while it's great that I've learned about my family, and it's great that I can draw some specific examples from them, I don't feel like that my past ancestors have much impact on my life today. As to the question of assimilation, I think it's a tricky topic to discuss. In some ways, you want immigrants and people who come here to accept American values and to accept the core beliefs of what it means to be an American, that free will, liberty, and justice are the things that are the most important and fundamental things to us. And you want people who come here to share our values, I feel like, because that's what this country is built upon. We are a nation of the people for the people, and it's important that we can have a similar value set. With that being said, however, it would be wrong to want everyone to be the exact same as me or you or as the guy down the street. I think it's very important that we keep our cultural heritage and like the special things about each culture, our food, our cuisine, our way of dialect. I think each one of those are an important thing to keep, but it's also important to keep a coherent value system amongst all of our citizens, I believe.